join JW's live and say that you were sexually inappropriate. Didn't say that either. Benny didn't really accuse JW of anything. All Benny did, and Benny was so careful with their language, that Benny very clearly said that he was joking about flirting. The joke part was the flirting, but that they were flirting, right? And that now seeing that JW has been justifying schmedophilic stuff, and now Benny also knows about the fact that JW has talked to multiple MINORs, that it now makes Benny feel uncomfortable. That's not wild. Benny didn't even actually say that JW did anything wrong to her. Like Benny didn't say JW was a predator to her. Benny didn't say JW was grooming her. Benny didn't say any of that stuff. All she said was that he was very close to me, and he was flirting with me, but it was in a joking way. And that now looking back at what I've learned about him, it feels icky. In fact, I think she used the word ick. And so in response to Benny simply sharing that, which, I think they're framing it in a way that, the way if a woman is graped while she's drunk, and then she wakes up the next morning, and then the rapist says, oh, she just regretted it. It's almost like they're saying that Benny regretted it, but Benny's not accusing him of anything. Yeah, so for the context, on the top right-hand corner, that is 23-year-old Chris Mowry. He is someone who is very connected with Harry Sisson, who is a bit of a Democratic D-list celebrity star, I guess. And both of them do a lot of political debates. Chris Mowry on the right-hand side was purportedly smexting with Nurse Heather on the left, the 40-year-old woman on the left. And not just smexting, but according to Heather, that Chris Mowry was sending videos and images that were explicit, i.e. nudes, right? And that Nurse Heather received those images, and that Nurse Heather saw some of those images and saw that Chris was younger in some of the images, and that she was a little concerned that some of the videos or images that she had may be of Chris when he was a minor, but that she kept those anyway. Okay? So then what happened was we held a live, and during that live, or Nurse Heather held a live, and during that live, I joined the live, and Nurse Heather was talking about P-Treadio stuff. And a lot of people kind of missed the parts that she was saying that to me were red flags. So I joined to probe a little bit more in terms of what it is her position was. And ultimately what became really clear was that she was stating very clearly that schmedophilia is not inherently harmful. And in fact, she said for her to even acknowledge that it could be harmful, that pedophilic grape could be harmful. And we made abundantly clear we were not talking about Romeo and Juliet. Okay? 1,000 times I said we're not talking about Romeo and Juliet. And in fact, the scenario I was giving was of a 35 to 40-year-old man and a 16, 17-year-old younger teen, right? And in that scenario, Heather said that pedophilic grape is not inherently harmful, and that before she would entertain the idea that it even could be harm, she would need to see academic studies on the topic. So I want to be clear, she was demanding to see academic studies in order to establish for her that schmetophilic grape between a 30, 45-year-old and a 16, 17-year-old is harmful. And sometimes I'm known for being exuberant. Sometimes I'm known for trying to like corner a person. Sometimes I'm known for like intimidating a person and all that. I can assure you I was nothing but polite on Heather's Live. I was incredibly kind. I was incredibly considerate. I was very understanding. In fact, I was trying to see whether or not there was a misunderstanding taking place. No, Moxie, this is not a call out. There's no research. Call outs are what require research, Moxie. That's what I'm talking about, call outs. Like where I had to research that Canadian peach video. I can't do that ever again. So Nurse Heather was given every opportunity to walk it back. And Nurse Heather just simply could not walk it back. And then, as a result of that, JW, which was her mod and her friend, JW is on the bottom right-hand corner, JW was defending Nurse Heather, saying that we shouldn't judge Nurse Heather and that we shouldn't judge people. And in the context of what we were talking about, that would mean schmetophiles. And JW was basically trying to stop me from, basically having Heather explain what her positions are, which to me is really weird. Because if you really think that your friend is on the right side of it, you'd want your friend to talk more to clear it up. But he didn't. And so after all of that came out, we then found out that the images and videos, the explicit images and videos that Chris Mowry sent to Nurse Heather, that Nurse Heather gave those videos to JW. So I want to be clear, 40-year-old Nurse Heather gave the pornographic videos and images of Chris Mowry, which by Heather's own admission may have included images and videos of when Chris was below the age of 18. Nurse Heather gave them to JW, who's a 44-year-old man. And we later found out that JW77777 was a 44-year-old man who had multiple friendships and was mutuals with multiple MINORs, including one MINOR who was a 17-year-old that JW had sent hundreds of dollars to, and then another MINOR who was aged 14. And how Benny got involved was that Benny joined the panel, and Benny said that JW, and Benny was 18 at the time and is currently 19. Benny pointed out that JW had been flirty with her and had used some comments or statements towards her that just seemed a little much. And then when we went through those statements, it was very clear that JW was using very grooming-like language. And, I'll be honest, at first I was willing to think that JW was having a serious mental health crisis. Because after someone joined our live named Lo, I think her name was, I did decide to do some heavy research into JW's social media. And I did see evidence that he had been talking about schmooicide in the past month or so. And so I thought maybe it's the case that JW is just sort of going through a depressive state. And when you're in a depressive state, you do things he ordinarily wouldn't do. And so I kind of backed off a little bit. But then 4 days ago or something, Nurse Heather and Benny go live. Pardon me, Nurse Heather and JW in the bottom go live. And they literally spend an hour mocking Benny on a live. They had no reason to mock Benny. Benny had not been calling them names. Benny had not been cruel. Benny had not been rude. Benny had not been anything. Like, really, she had not been anything. All she did was say, hey, JW, looking back, those conversations, given the fact that now I know that you talk to minors, and I now know that you defend pedophilia, that those conversations we had make me feel ick. And that's all she'd said. But they then bullied her for an hour. And after bullying her for an hour, you would hope that they would learn better. But instead, I went live and I exposed that JW had been talking to minors. JW, did he delete? I think he deleted his account. I'm not seeing his account anymore. So I don't think it's private. I think he may have actually deleted it. But JW will come back. Because that's the type of, like, that's just these people. These people always come back. But for now, JW ran. Because, you know, that seems really legit. Like, every accusation I've ever had, I've never ran from the accusation, bro. Because you don't run from false allegations. Why would you? Why would you run? You ran because you know you were about to look really bad. And so I kind of expected Heather to kind of like disappear. But when I noticed that she hadn't even privated her account, I really started to believe that like Heather just didn't think she did anything wrong and that she would, you know, kind of like pop her head up again. And she did pop her head up again. I saw her in a live and we chased her out of it. And I was like, okay, maybe she'll take a little bit of time to self-reflect. But nope. Instead, I get a notification on my Discord from Benny, I don't know, like an hour ago or something, where Benny is saying, yo, Nurse Heather is DMing me and harassing me right now. And they start talking. Nurse Heather and Benny are going back and forth, and there's like, I don't know, 30 to 40 DM screenshots exchanged between them. And I'm like trying to look at what it is Heather's sharing in real time. And in those DMs, Heather, firstly, let's get this out of the way. Heather very, very clearly says that she did send nudes and nude videos of Chris Mowry to JW. And her purported excuse is because only JW had the means to store them, which I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? The thing that concerns me, hey Katie, the thing that concerns me as to why she likely sent it to JW is that JW is a photographer, which also means he's an editor. And that has me a little concerned. Because I think it's ridiculous to suggest, because first of all, if she knew how to send a video of that nature, right? Because we all know that those videos would not be very small, right? So that means that they likely use some sort of cloud sharing device. So if Heather's sophisticated enough to know about cloud sharing software, I'm finding it really hard to believe that she's not familiar with the idea of keeping the videos on that cloud sharing software and or otherwise knowing how to store stuff. But I do believe that it's very likely that Heather may have sent these images and videos to JW to edit them. And that's disturbing, in my opinion. That's really disturbing, in my opinion. And so in these DMs that Heather just sent, she makes very clear, and in fact, let me just show where it's very clear. Where it's very clear. I'm happy that he's JW. I'm not happy that he chose to disclose that those videos were in his possession. And he and I have definitely talked about it. They weren't sent to him to view. He can keep them safely stored, and I can't. He hasn't even watched them. You have absolutely no clue what's going on. And here she makes clear the purpose for having the videos, the intimate videos of Chris Mowry, was quote unquote for insurance and leverage in case Chris releases what he has on me. That's what we are all doing, holding our cards to our chests, because once the texts and photos and videos start getting shared, it's mutually assured destruction. And then she responds to Benny saying, then how is it that JW knew about Chris's penis size? And Heather's response is, JW actually hasn't watched the videos, at least not the most explicit one. Which means he has watched some of the nude videos. That's crazy. That's crazy. So the fact that Heather in the top left-hand corner was freely sharing unedited, unredacted, intimate videos of 22-year-old Chris Mowry with 44-year-old JW, Jason Wong, is crazy. And Chris had not done anything to Heather at that point. Chris had not in any way indicated that Chris was going to do anything to Heather whatsoever. So this idea of having leverage in case something happened is all projection. And Pebbles, I'm so sorry that I am talking you to sleep. I think you're kind of basically telling me that I'm boring. So what's crazy to me is there was one screenshot that I didn't get, and it's a little frustrating. I do have it. I just forgot to screenshot it. But here is Heather saying, I'm glad you're well. I check in on everyone regardless of where I stand with them. Here's Heather reaching out to Benny. This is after Heather and JW bullied Benny. And Heather reaches out and said, I'm glad you're well. I check in on everyone regardless of where I stand with them. Meaning, I check in with people even after I bully them. And then says, I don't think mocked is the right word. You needed some sense knocked into you. It's so weird to me that a 40-year-old woman is having schmexual videos sent to her by a 22-year-old when she clearly infantilizes 22-year-olds. It's a common theme. Heather routinely infantilizes Benny for her age. So Heather makes clear that she doesn't think young people are capable of complex thoughts or human understanding, but she's got no problem getting sex out of them. That's wild. And so the most despicable part was this part here, where Heather then says, in the middle, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm being completely honest. You, meaning Benny, need to stop your public slander and defamation, or you will receive the cease and desist that is already written and signed by a lawyer as a formal email to the addresses I have. That's Heather's way of saying, I've looked up your legal name and I've found your email address. Heather, why are you looking up Benny's information, you weirdo? And then she says, I don't want to have to do it. Complain if you feel you have to. Stop doing it publicly. Well, Nurse Heather, rather than go after Benny with your stupid fake-ass cease and desist, and rather than blame Benny for quote-unquote public slander and defamation, come at me, bro. Come at someone your own age, Heather. Or do you only ever enjoy the company of people who are just over the age of 18? Is that what it is, Heather? You don't like, engaging with people your own age? Is that what your problem? So, Heather, why is it you feel free to bully Benny and to try to intimidate Benny and to condescend to Benny, but you're too cowardly to do it to someone around your own age? And then I just got this update. What's this, Heather? I'm not going to reveal the double agents and spies. You're not in Mission Impossible, Heather. What is going on with you? I'm not going to reveal the double agents and spies. I'm finished with this conversation. I didn't want to have to go this route, but you are forcing me to. Heather, nobody's forcing me to. Heather, nobody's forcing you to receive his nude videos. Did you claim that Chris was forcing you to share his nude videos? Forcing you to share his nude videos? Nobody's forcing you to do anything. You're threatening and bullying a 19-year-old for simply coming out and saying the truth. You weirdo. So then Heather continues, I didn't want to have to go this route, but you're forcing me to. This is a promise, maybe even a threat, that you will face legal action if you do not stop public slandering and defaming JW. This was my attempt at a good faith conversation with you, and you refused to match my level of respect. What level of respect do you have? You defend pedophiles. You literally say that it's not harmful. Pedophilic grape is not harmful. You take the videos of 22-year-old men and you share them. They're nude, intimate videos. You share them with 44-year-old strangers online. And then you bully 19-year-olds who simply come out and say what happened. And then you don't just simply make a promise, you make a threat of legal action to silence them. Gosh, what other silence someone? Oh, that's right, grapists. I forgot about that. Grapists do that a lot, don't they? Isn't that the NDA route? Where they use NDAs and the threat of legal action in order to silence their victims? You, Nurse Heather. And Nurse Heather, can you explain, why are you going after a 19-year-old who's literally only ever spoken the truth? She was about as nice as she possibly could have been to JW. All she ever did with JW was explain what he did. She never called JW a pedo. She never called JW a groomer. She never did any of that stuff. So why are you going after her as if she did something wrong when she hasn't done a damn thing wrong? And if anything, she was using kids' gloves to talk to JW and talk about JW. The only thing I ever heard her say was that now, after learning what had happened with regard to JW, that JW was talking to several minors, which he has, Heather. You can keep denying it. JW did talk to several MINORs. JW did talk to a 14-year-old on Discord in their DMs. And all she's saying is that once she learned that she felt the ick by looking back at their prior conversations. And she also said that JW had flirted in her DMs. And she was extremely clear that the joking part was the flirting. I don't think JW could have been treated more fairly. I don't think there's anything else they could have done in order to make it more clear as to what the heck was going on. But somehow you made it seem like she was the problem when she was not the problem at all. Nurse Heather, you've got a problem. You've got a real serious problem, and it's really disturbing that you don't understand that about yourself. And what's a little also weird to me as well, Nurse Heather, if you're saying that JW didn't know the 14-year-old was 14 or the 17-year-old was 17, why did JW ask the 14-year-old for the high school information of the 17-year-old? Can you explain that, Nurse Heather? Wait, Nurse Heather, is it really because I'm close to your age that you're not able to see me as existing? Do you only talk to people 20 years younger than you? Because it's just weird to me that you've got no problem sliding into the DMs of Benny and threatening Benny. And now, guys, for everyone in here right now, it is not defamation or slander for you to go around and say that Nurse Heather has threatened Benny. You can literally go around and saying that Nurse Heather has gone around. By the way, it's not slander and it's not if you state Irish said this. So anytime you want to talk Heather, absolutely said that pedophilic grape is chat. If you're worried about Nurse Heather and her non-existent lawyer coming after you, feel free to preface that statement by saying Irish said this. Because Nurse Heather, you're not going to silence people. You're not going to scare people into silence with fake lawyers and fake cease and desist. Do you even know what a cease and desist does? Do you have any idea at all? Or did you just use like ChatGPT to like figure out a word, a legal term? What's the role of cease and desist in defamation and slander? Do you know whether or not the jurisdiction requires a cease and desist as a predicate to bringing a lawsuit for defamation or slander? Do you know what the word predicate means, Nurse Heather? Because I find it's really interesting that you're happy to threaten someone who was 18 when your friend was talking to her, and you're not going to talk to me. Weird. So guys, just to give Nurse Heather, I don't know, multiple targets to worry about so that she can't just go after Benny. And since Nurse Heather is in here, and by the way, Nurse Heather has made clear, by the way, this is really a helpful admission by Nurse Heather, that she doesn't feel harassed by this at all. Quote her DMs, this is all a joke to her, and she's laughing about it with her family. Gosh, don't really know what damages you're going to sue for then there, Heather. Since it's not causing you any mental health issues and you weren't making money on TikTok, not really sure what your damages are, Heather. But in order to give Heather, let's think of this from a whack-a-mole standpoint. Since Heather is in here, why don't you all in the comments tell Heather what you think of her and start your sentence by Heather. Say, Heather, you are blank. Heather, you did this. Heather, you are wrong because of X, Y, or Z. Why don't you all state what it is you think about Heather? Just so that she's got like a whack-a-mole problem where she won't be able to go after everyone. And then that way it'll make it a little bit harder for her to focus her attention on a goddamn 19-year-old, you weirdo. A 19-year-old who treated JW as fairly as you possibly could have. Now, if you want to talk about defamation and slander, Heather, what about all the stuff you're saying about me, Heather? Does that count as defamation and slander? Or are you just like engaging in selective outrage, Heather? Because I found it really interesting that you've got a lot of stuff to say about me, but you don't consider that slander. Would you call me a master manipulator? How did I manipulate Benny exactly? You understand that I didn't do a call out live on you, you weirdo. I joined your live. And you're the one who said all those things, Heather. You could have argued that if I did a call out live and Benny learned about all of this and you people as a result of my call out live, I could at least understand what you're talking about. But that's not what happened. I joined your live. I was incredibly patient. I was incredibly understanding. And all that happened was people heard the disgusting things coming out of your mouth, that you justified pedophilia. Everyone in that live remembers that one of the things that I said repeatedly to you, Heather, was that it is dangerous to normalize pedophilia. Do you remember that, Heather? I was saying that if you think this in your head, I don't care. I said if you say this in your own house and nobody else is around, I don't care. I was trying to tell you that you're online right now normalizing pedophilia. How are you going to say I mistook you when I was the one who was trying to help you see how what you were doing was harmful? It's not my fault that your fucking dense head was not able to hear what I was saying. Or are you going to blame Benny for the fact that you're deaf or something? Because you haven't taken accountability for a single thing. Heather, did you take accountability for getting with Chris Mowry and developing this insane relationship in your head that never existed? Did you take responsibility for taking a 22-year-old's intimate videos and sharing them with a random 44-year-old? Did you take responsibility for the fact that that 44-year-old started to talk to other people about that 22-year-old's intimate videos and describing his PENIS? Did you take responsibility, Nurse Heather, for the fact that you defended pedophilic grape? Did you take responsibility for the fact that you held a live with JW where the two of you were mocking Benny? Did you take responsibility for any of that stuff, Heather? Because it seems like you're just trying to put all of the responsibility for all of your bad behaviors on me and Benny. Nah. The true problem here is you and JW. And that's why JW is off the app, Heather. Because JW was smart enough to know that both of you look absolutely disgusting in all of this. Both of you have liability for what you did. Both of you have engaged in behavior and made statements that I don't see how you can come back from. And Nurse Heather, let me be super clear. Go join another panel. I dare you. Everyone in here, the moment you join another panel, is going to notify me. And I'm going to come running in, and I'm going to sure as hell make sure that the creator on that live knows exactly what it is you did. And now, Nurse Heather, because of the fact that you were unable to take accountability for what you did, everyone in here is going to make damn sure that they also tell the creator what it is you're up to and what it is you're doing, and to hold you accountable and get you kicked off that live. Whatever reputation you enjoyed, whatever access to larger lives that you used to have, whatever friendships or mutual relationships you used to have with larger creators, it's over. It's done. You don't have it anymore. Oh, she frequents Good Trouble's lives? I'll let Good Trouble know. JW frequents Good Trouble's lives? Yo, if anyone sees Heather in Good Trouble's lives straight away, and Benny, I don't know if you're okay with me describing it like this, but let Good Trouble know Nurse Heather bullied a 19-year-old. She's still in his Discord? Oh, Heather. Heather, have you been just giving money to people? Is that what's going on? Who's in GT's Discord? Guys, whoever's in GT's Discord, let them know straight away. Hey, Wacky Jacks. Or is it JW? Is it JW? I'm not really sure. So, CSAM is the preferred way of describing what you all may colloquially refer to as child corn. But due to the fact that that kind of normalizes the idea of that kind of material being a category of corn, the proper word that is used is child schmexual abusive. Sometimes it's also exploitive, so it's CSAM. Child schmexual abusive material. And what I'm referring to there is that she specifically said that videos and images that Heather had sent, that Chris Mowry had sent, were of him from years ago, and that she believed that some of those may have been when he was underage. And that at first she deleted them, but now they're not deleted, which is wild to me. Just like genuinely wild to me. And so that's what the CSAM thing is. Who's close to the host that can get a message to him? You can message me on Discord, Irish and NYC. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And so Nurse Heather here, she absolutely was good with normalizing grape. No question that happened. Literally no question whatsoever that happened. She was on a live for about an hour or 2 hours saying that schmetaphilic grape is not inherently harmful, saying that schmetaphilic grape can be beneficial in certain circumstances, and made it very clear we were not talking about Romeo Juliet things. We weren't talking about it like a 17-year-old and a 24-year-old. That's not what we were talking about. We were talking about a 35 to 40-year-old man and a 16 to 17-year-old. How do you guys refer to a 16 to 17-year-old, by the way? Child is not right. Kid is not right. I don't want to call them a girl. Teen? 16 to 17-year-old teen? That seems redundant. Teen, yeah. 16 to 17-year-old teen. And she said that that's not inherently harmful. In fact, she specifically said for her own child, so not a hypothetical, she said for her own child that if she was, her own child who was 18, that if she brought home a 35-year-old man today, she wouldn't have any problems provided he's a good man. And for her, schmetaphilic grape is only a problem when the adult is a bad person and or when the MINOR is quote unquote not mature. Because she's of the opinion that there's some 16-year-olds that are mature enough to have schmecks with older adults. Which I just think is crazy. And don't get me wrong, there's entire ass countries that agree with her. Entire ass countries. What, can someone tell me the age of consent in England? I think it's 16, isn't it? But there's other countries where it's even lower. And I don't really base my morality based upon law. I think it's absolutely wild, the idea that she was normalizing the idea for older people. Kerrigan, she got this 40-year-old woman from Canada, got explicit schmexual videos from Chris Mowry when he was 22, and then she shared those videos with a 44-year-old man named Jason, which is crazy to me. Just crazy to me. Hang on a second. Here. And here she says the reason why she kept Chris Mowry's. She said the reason she kept it was because for insurance and leverage. Because once the texts and photos and videos start getting shared, it's mutually assured destruction. That's crazy. She's not happy that JW chose to disclose that those videos were in his possession. She's referring to schmexual videos of Chris Mowry. In his possession, and he and I have talked about it, they weren't sent to him to view. He can keep them safely stored, and I can't. If you are knowledgeable enough to share a large video, that means you're using cloud storage. And if you're able to use cloud storage to send a video, then you're able to use cloud storage to store a video. So why the hell do you have to send an intimate video of Chris Mowry to a 44-year-old man for storage? I think what's much more likely is that Heather knew exactly how to store the videos, and instead she sent it to JW because JW is a photographer and editor. And I think Heather sent it to JW because of JW's editing skills. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Kerrigan, I don't know if I would say I'm advocating here on behalf of Chris. Chris has a problem with me, okay? And I think what Chris did with the Harry situation is unacceptable. But I also think that someone taking someone's nudes to use it as leverage, as a threat for extortion, that's crazy. I'm more so advocating against that as a principle, not necessarily for Chris Mowry, if that makes sense. Mina says the way JW says things like it's not illegal to talk or text to a 17-year-old. Again, Mina says the way JW says things like it's not illegal to talk to a 17-year-old, as if that's the issue. Mina, look at this text from, where is it? Right there. From Nurse Heather at the top. You do realize that adults talk to kids all the time, right? She's sending that to Benny to justify JW talking to MINORs. It's just weird how JW and Heather just keep mirroring each other's arguments, like they're in it together. Yeah, nobody would take her case. Addie, when you ask what did JW do, JW willingly. Addy, if you were to tell me that you had an intimate video of a guy that you were talking to, Addy, and you offered to send me that intimate video, there's no way I would say yes to that. I just wouldn't say yes to it. I wouldn't think it's appropriate. Even if you said you had that intimate video and it was for like a call out live purpose or something, I don't want to see someone's intimate video. I feel like that's crossing a line in my opinion. And what Heather here did was Heather sent Chris Mowry's intimate schmexual videos to JW. And I think that is crazy. And like, I personally don't infantilize people who are 22. Personally, I don't. Isabella, you have to send me a Discord friend request. Irish and NYC, all lowercase. I personally don't infantilize a 22-year-old. So if Nurse Heather met up with Chris for a one-time sexual encounter, I don't think I would really care. I really don't care, to be honest with you. I don't think of 22-year-olds as fragile little creatures that need to be protected from sex. Personally, I don't view it like that, right? What I do view is that the idea of having a relationship with a 22-year-old or a 23-year-old, that is crazy to me. That is, even if you don't want to call it abusive, there's no question it's selfish and you're taking something away from that 22-year-old. And I don't know why you would take that experience of a 22-year-old being able to go out and explore, why you would take that away from a 22-year-old. I don't understand that at all. And so even though I'm not going to infantilize a 22-year-old, there is something about the fact that it's a 40-year-old woman sending the intimate videos of a 22-year-old to a 44-year-old man. Jason JW is in his 40s. Literally in his 40s. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, I don't even know how to, like, really... I don't know. Like, if I was Chris, I would feel violated. I would feel violated. Like, I would feel doubly violated. I would feel violated that someone took my intimate photos and intimate videos and shared them. But there's something about the fact that it's a 40-year-old sharing them with a 44-year-old that is like, I don't know, man. There's something about that. I don't know how to articulate it. This happened a couple of months ago, Kerrigan, or a few weeks ago anyway. I think it's just absolutely gross. And the fact that this 40-year-old Nurse Heather is literally defending what she did to Chris and stating that she just had to send these intimate videos to JW. Why? You didn't have to, you weirdo. Oh, Ernesto, just go ahead and block that person. I don't want to risk... Hang on. Can you find that person? Let me see if I can find them. Hold on. Okay, there he is. Yeah, so Ernesto, what I would say is maybe don't risk muting and maybe just go straight for the block. Because if they get muted for the entire live, they're likely going to start reportinging. So if you ever feel the need to mute for the entire live, just block. There's no, like, if you're going to mute for a minute, that's fine. But if you mute for the entire live, there's no way they're not going to REPORT. Side note, but I like the label of Chris being a political liability. Thank you, Mina. No one else noticed that, right? I was literally like trying to figure out what's the right way to like refer to Chris Mowry. And political liability, I felt, was the best possibility and the best option. There was a lot of other ways that I could have referred to him, but I thought that one made the most sense. No, not ego, Bex. It's more so that I'm glad someone noticed it because I struggled with it for a while. How to figure out the exact right language for it. Because I think, what was I saying? I think I originally had political douche at one point. And then I was like, well, is he actually even in politics, to be fair? And I ultimately landed on political liability because it works as to whether or not he ends up going into politics or he's friends with someone who does go into politics. So I thought that was kind of fair. Guys. With Chris Mowry. And there's no way in hell that it was meaningful for Chris. Like, no way at all. But in her head, she had made it so that that's what it was. And that's so worrying to me. That she was saying that, like, they shared a really meaningful, important connection. No, they didn't. Like, I don't even need to talk to Chris to know that. And then she said that, like, in all her years of being, in all her years of, like, knowing people and meeting men, that there was something about Chris that was entirely unique and special. Dude, like, that didn't happen. Just didn't happen. Wait, can you guys hear me in the comments? I just saw someone said there was a glitch. If you guys are saying you can hear me, why is it someone just said, I think he got nannered? Or technically, Misara J said, I think he got mannered, guys, which I think is what she meant was, I think he got nannered. Oh, is the screen still black? So, this word teacupping, everyone seems to know what the hell that word is now, and I didn't. That's frustrating. because someone joined my live there a few days ago and said to me that I was teacupping. And in my head, I was like, what the hell is teacupping, bro? I've got no idea what teacupping is. And all I could think of was teabagging. And so I assumed they were making fun of me or something. And so I just like acted like I knew what the word was, but I really had obviously no idea what the hell the word was. And I just like nodded and pretended to smile. But I was totally lost as to what the hell was going on. So teacupping, I guess, is not a bad thing. And teacupping instead is simply when your screen goes all black. Good to know for the future. Because that was an awkward moment for me, I'm not going to lie. Out of app. So what does it mean? And you're all going to laugh at me. I know you're all going to laugh at me because let's be honest, you're all assholes. Is teacupping, does it mean like he's gone away to get a cup of tea? If so, why do Americans call it teacupping? You guys don't drink tea. Wouldn't you guys have instead called it coffee cupping? Doesn't make any sense. Ernesto, when I disappeared earlier, like around about 5 minutes ago, Ernesto, did you notice that the person who was overstepping boundaries with me joined the live? Without naming their name, did you notice the person who I had indicated was overstepping their boundaries with me joined the live and was in here for overstepping their boundaries with me? Joined the live and was in here for that. Gotcha. Yeah, she came in. I went to get a couple of screenshots to confront her. 5 minutes of her being in the live to make sure she was sticking around. And she was here for like 3 or 5 minutes. And then I came back and started talking. And then I came back and started talking onto it in case I should write that down as her just for 5 minutes. I did check. But, I mean, she did leave, so I should encourage that.
Yeah, I mean,
Encourage that.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you're right. She didn't do a comment. All right, that's fair.
yeah.
Wait,
So
when you're off the app, there shows it to be a when you're off the app, there shows it to be a Wait, Mia, you don't know who I'm talking about. Mia, I'm not talking about Nurse Heather. I'm talking about someone totally different. I'm not talking about Nurse Heather. I'm talking about someone totally different.
with the little teacup in it.
I guess I see it all the time and I've never noticed it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I mean. So if I leave the app right now,
Okay, go for it. Okay, go for it. Teacup.
yeah,
I never noticed that was a teacup.
yeah.
I
So
had
that's the,
no idea that was a teacup.
you on Discord or something like that, and you go check it. Then you teacup.
That makes so much more sense. Wow, is teacupping going to become like a new like slang word that's going to be like more well known outside of TikTok?
It will probably end up in the dictionary.
Guys, let me check to see. Men never notice anything. Mina, I'm not going to argue with you. Hang on, let me see if I can fix the lag a bit. I can fix the lag a bit. It's more like, why do I have to notice? Like, I noticed the fact that the screen is grayed. Why do I have to look for the middle part? But no, to you guys, the person who, I don't even want to necessarily say their name. I can't figure out where I'm being too mean or I'm not being too mean. She wrote me again saying
really?
that I was out of line or something, and then she blocked me. I guess she blocked me on another account, not this account, I guess.
Oh, well,
Because I told her, and then I said, whereas on the flip side, you have demonstrated a complete relationship. Like, you don't defend your stalking of me by saying, and I said this, you don't defend your stalking of me by saying you simply love too deeply, and then send me one of your love poems. Like, like that's even more stalkery than by just like ignoring what I said to you. And I guess that triggered her, and she finally blocked me.
well, I guess, yeah. I mean, that's not a bad thing if she does.
No, I just hope she did actually finally block me.
Yeah, just hope there's no escalation, you know.
Have they all been white women? White women? I think they.
Yes. There have been others that didn't get that far.
Have they?
Yeah. Hold on.
Huh. So are a danger for school. Female stalking phenomenon. No, Bex, I know it wasn't a real question. Oh. Fair. Fair. But all right, But all right, she did this newest person, and I wouldn't call her a stalker per se. She's just someone who I have gently told multiple times to stop doing something, then said it to her a lot more. Yeah. Lane, I know I have a glitch. I can't do it. Lane,